Hi everyone, welcome to the ServiceNow Product Owner channel where we're going to explore stories, tips, and best practices from the ServiceNow ecosystem. I'm Jerry, your host today. I'm honored to be joined by Sanjay, a true expert with over 7 years specialized experience in ServiceNow. In this video, we're going to dive into Sanjay's journey as a rising star in the ServiceNow community. We'll discuss his impressive expertise across modules like CSM, ITSM, Service Portal, workforce optimization, and more. And we're going to explore how he's going to be tackling those challenges to deliver tailored solutions for his customers. And plus, I'm going to share some of my own experiences along the way. So let's jump right in. Sanjay, I'd love to hear about more about your path and what brought you into the ServiceNow ecosystem.
Myself Sanjay, and as Jerry already you said, like I have like 7+ experience. Okay, so uh, I started off in 2016 with one of the IT organizations at us. It was great working over there. I worked and I got like initial hands-on ServiceNow, working with the portal and the normal like basic ITSM work. So yeah, and from there I started my journey, and then I dwell into like more and more development activities. So that's where my ServiceNow journey began. And currently, I'm working at BCG here in London office, and I'm working as a lead engineer over here. Basically, my day-to-day work is more on a complete development and architecting the platform. So it's like a dev plus architect role, and yeah, it's pretty good. Like I have worked like on like most of the modules, I would say. I did not get much on ITOM side, but I think apart from that, I have worked like on most of the ServiceNow modules that we hear nowadays. So yeah, pretty good. I would say it's a vast platform. We need to keep learning to gain expertise, and yeah, it will take a long time to cover all the modules.
Oh, thank you, Sanjay. And it's really quite inspiring to hear how you've got started with ServiceNow. And yeah, as you mentioned, that ServiceNow is such a big ecosystem. There's so much
Yeah.
different modules, capabilities, and then also because ServiceNow, what's it, released their new version upgrades
Yes.
every twice a year.
Every
So
yeah.
trying to keep updated with some of the new capabilities. Um,
Yes.
it's a challenge really when especially with you like you mentioned you know you got your day-to-day job same as me,
Yeah.
and then trying to keep up with some of the new features that they release and thinking are we able to in terms of from an organizational perspective are we able to keep up with some of the new features that comes out
Yes. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it might be that yeah it's great it's got this new feature that comes out but is this going to add value to the organization? Is it going to help our customers to become more efficient? You know,
Mhm.
because things like automation, artificial intelligence, those
Yes.
sort of things that maybe we want to be focusing more on, and how can we make our customers' lives a lot more easier? But in turn, how can it make our lives more easy
Yeah.
as well from managing the platform as well? So but that's
Yes.
sort of things that from my perspective as a product owner, to be focusing more on those areas that firstly can it make our customers' lives easier, our developer lives easier, but again, making sure that processes are more streamlined.
Yes, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Nowadays, when we see like lots of organization, they are moving towards automation in the sense the repetitive activities, the repetitive tasks that L3 or L1, L2 teams get, right? So even we here uh, have been automating a lot of stuff which had like manual activities in place, where for example granting roles or basically adding to group or monitoring some platform, you can say integrations and all those stuff. We don't want users or you can say a particular agent to look into all those stuff. So we have been automating a lot of stuff over there. And yeah, obviously with the new trend on the AI perspective, I would say we have been leveraging a lot of things within our platforms. So it's good, and I see there is a lot of benefit around it. It's not only, I would say, in my day to day activities, I would say I try to review my codes. Like for example, I'm writing some code, and I'm not able to understand like what is the error or something like that. I just give it this to OpenAI or ChatGPT to understand, okay, if there is anything, any syntax error or something like that. Obviously we get similar features in within the script, you can say debugger, or we can say uh, within ServiceNow platform. But again, the suggestions that we need, right? So that we get, obviously if we have Now Assist, that's a paid plugin we don't have at the moment. So I try to use some other platforms to get the understanding around it.
Okay. So
Okay.
Sanjay, thank you for providing your background and some of the things that you're doing within ServiceNow. What I would like to hear about more from you is around some of your shared challenges around, the ServiceNow ecosystem, and maybe also your growth as well. And then I can also add in some of my, challenges, so we could just share that together.
Sure, Jerry. Yeah. So shared challenges, I would say there has been a lot of challenges whenever you try to, you can say, learn new things, or whenever new modules come into ServiceNow ecosystem, right? We get a lot of challenges to how to you can say configure those things, or how do I try to make it work, right? So that's where we see lots of challenges. So similar thing happened recently, a few months back, when we were working on workforce optimization. It was very challenging work for us because it's a completely new module, I would say, application basically. So yeah, it was challenging work. We tried to configure a lot of stuff, but again, we got help from ServiceNow to get it working, because we were not able to understand the complete like things like how do we configure it to make it work. So that is one of the recent challenges that we really observed. But I would say one more thing, that in my career growth, there has been few things that I would really like to talk about. I did not started as a developer in ServiceNow or any other platform. So I started as a testing, you can say test engineer, basically manual testing the stuff, right? Basically validating some fields, values, something like that. But again, that was within ServiceNow. So initially, the challenge for me was like I was not good at coding. Like I would say, I was not much into coding. So that was one of the major challenges for me to get into development. So what I did is, basically I started learning JavaScript. At that particular time, I would say I'll call out Chuck's name, because his video on JavaScript basically helped me a lot to understand the basic concepts, like how the loops work, how the functions work, the basic stuff, I would say. That's where I got interest in it, and I said like, I can also learn this JavaScript, you can say as a, you can say as a developer. And that's where my you can say journey changed. I then transitioned into a portal developer. At that particular time, I even learned Angular and other stuff. So that's where my, you can say, role changed from tester. That's what one of the challenging part because the thing is, within ServiceNow you need to understand, if you are a developer, you need to be good in at least in JavaScript, because that is the basic framework that is being used within ServiceNow. So that was one of the challenges. Then later, when I gradually started working on the development activities, I had challenges in integration, because integration is such a, I would say now I feel it's very simple. It's like one or less. It's very similar. You can basically uh, do an integration between two different platforms, or you can say applications, anything, right? Earlier I was very scared of it, and that was one of the challenging work. Whenever I get integration work, I was like, okay, what should I do, whom should I contact? So that was one of my challenges, I would say. But again, as I started looking into more and more work, right, or you can say the stories that I worked on, I got confidence and I learned a lot. That's where I would say I succeeded in that. Like I grew myself in that ecosystem. So and one more thing I would say is one thing I observed within ServiceNow, if you keep up learning, right, gradually it will pay off to you. That's what I think. Being here, working in the UK, it's not that easy to anyone from, like, I'm from India, back in India, so it's not that
Mhm.
easy to come here and work, right. So you need to keep up upgrading yourself, learning. You can say you should have that learning acumen, basically, to learn new things. Whenever the release comes in, I would say I refer the documents, I refer the release notes, so that I understand, okay, what are the new stuff that's coming, all right. And that's where that's where I can help my organization to dwell into new things,
Mhm.
right. So that is one of the things that really helped me growing my career. uh, and yeah, I'm really happy. I'll be grateful to ServiceNow as well for all this growth in my career.
Oh, thank you, Sanjay. That's really, really useful to hear about your journey. And like you mentioned, starting as a tester,
Yeah.
that, yeah, in terms of your background, I mean, obviously from a testing perspective, all you're, doing is you know what the requirements that developers have already developed, and you know what
Yes.
the customers are going to be doing. You've got test scripts that you're running through. So trying to
Yes.
transition from that perspective in terms of what you've told me, you want JavaScript, doing the integrations.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good, in terms of growth, what you've gone through, and then also some of the challenges. And I've faced some very similar, challenges, and also growth, because when I got into ServiceNow, at the time I was not a developer.
Hmm.
I actually worked on the service desk. So at the
I see.
time, I was a service desk manager. So I was more managing people. I was managing more the processes. So I was managing things like incident management,
Yeah.
problem management, request management, and then also I was a major incident manager as well at the time. So we were bringing in ServiceNow, replacing our previous IT service management tool, and I was also, learning what ServiceNow could do. And then I, put my name down to become, I want to I want to learn how to be a system administrator on ServiceNow. So again, I went on those courses. I think at the time, this was pre-COVID times, I went on to the
Yeah.
ServiceNow office in Staines in London, because they had a certified system administrator training on site where they taught people.
I
Um,
see.
and yeah, I got really, really interested in how, ServiceNow was easy to use, it was easy to configure.
Yes.
And I got to the point where I was wearing multiple hats where I was working. So I was obviously, doing my day-to-day job, but also, right, someone
Yeah.
says, how do you configure, for example, like the major incident workbench or the walkup experience? And, how do you add users and add groups and the roles of permissions? Or maybe changing the form design or creating a catalog item,
Yeah. Yeah.
and also using things like flow designer, so we can sort of workflow in some of those processes around, maybe we've got a ticket that comes in, rather than it goes to the service desk, depending on the criteria that's set, it goes to the second line support team. So again, how do we make things more efficient that way? But
Yes.
like you said, Sanjay,
Yeah.
my growth as well is also, keeping up to date with, not just the ServiceNow product documentation, but also you got the Now Learning, that they
Yes.
provide as well, the Now Curate, because there's a lot of information out there that you can
Yeah.
utilize. But also some of the resources that I use, to grow myself are, keep up to date. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, but also,
Yeah.
look on YouTube as well. So there are some wonderful, creators out there that's within the ServiceNow community, that provide some of
Yes.
their insights around, what they're doing, maybe specializing in IT operations management, or things like the virtual agents. So I
Yeah.
take a lot of those in, and keep that as part of my
Yeah.
resources that I can go to. But also I think within the ServiceNow community as well, and this is where I think we talk about our growth, is the more that
Yes.
we share what we do within the community and support people, and that's
Yeah.
where I think we kind of grow in terms of more into that recognition program, which I think there's the Rising Star program, and there's also
Yes.
the MVP, the most valued professional program.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So I'm trying to get hold of few people. Like as I said, I want to go more into the CTA line, right? You know,
yeah,
last week we had this Rising Star, you can say virtual meetup. I don't know if I don't remember if you joined. I don't think you were there in that meeting. Like it
I
was a
wasn't.
call
No,
with,
yeah.
yeah, it was call with Stephen.
hmm
Yeah, Stephen was there, and he's like 9 times MVP, and he really shared few stuff on the architectural front. So yeah, I'd like to get in touch with him to gain more insights around, and also the program itself.
hmm
So that
yeah.
how it helps. Obviously he recommended few books as well to us. Okay, you need to, if you are going into architecture, the basic building blocks of architecture, there are some books you need to refer. So book, I'll try to do that as well, but again I want some guidance around it, so I'm trying to reach few people and see how it goes.
Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining me today. It's been really incredible to hear your own journey, and obviously expertise around so many of the ServiceNow modules, and your insights in terms of kind of building those impactful connections around the community. But do you have any conclusions yourself, Sanjay, so we can close up?
Yeah, sure, Jerry. So thank you so much for having me here. And yeah, so I would say, uh, if you are in ServiceNow ecosystem, so I would say keep learning, keep the good work done, and don't be shy in asking any kind of doubts whenever you have. You can always post on the community channels, and you have Discords and Slack channels. Anywhere, if you have some questions,
Yeah.
try to post it. Someone will really be helpful to post answers to your questions. And I would say, uh, one pro tip is to always be, you can say, whenever you get something, a story or anything that you come across, I would say going with the product documentation is a must. You should always refer to documentation. Also, try to search around the community if they have something already posted, because there are lots of, you can say, members who try to post, you can say, um, on the modules, on the application, on the configuration, every stuff they try to post it. So I would say go to with the documentation and the community post to get like more and more out of, you can say, service now. So that's it.
Oh, thank you, Sanjay. That's really, really useful tips. But I just want to kind of what I do. Yeah, no, so just lost my track. Sorry.
No
No, I
problem.
think no, that's been. It's I think it's really, really important to hear some your tips and your journey, what you've gone through within this community. And what I'll do is I'll finish off with,
Yeah.
if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your network. So at the ServiceNow product owner, we're all about bringing you the best of the ServiceNow ecosystem. So stay tuned for more stories, tips, and inspiration, and see you next time. Thank you, Sanjay.
Yeah, thanks, JD.